Gordon, I heard that people say certain instrument they got the healing frequency. What do you think about that? Before you answer that, I want to tell the viewer, we have a short clip of video, the sound very short clip from our online Gong bus. It's a certain frequency of the chime, and I will tell you what frequency, and then Golden show you how to play.
Oh, right.
Watch to the end.
Certain instruments have certain healing frequencies. People think they have.
Yeah, I play the tuning fork, I play singing bowl.
So this is, well, first of all, I want to say one thing at the outset of this, which is that if, like me, you look at sound healing groups and topics and themes on social media, you'll find that this subject, for some reason,
very popular.
Not only is it very popular, but some of the discussions around it get very heated, and people get very cross with each other for holding supposedly diametrically opposite views.
Yes.
And the one thing I will say about that is I think a lot of it's unnecessary, but then some of it is the nature of social media. But it's still worth flagging up that this is can be a controversial issue. Let's just look at the terms that we used in your opening question.
Yeah,
which
it's a big subject.
So let's just think about it. Some people
people think
that some instruments have particularly healing frequency. Okay. Now, actually, you know, we can talk about instruments. What kind of instruments are we going to talk about? Yeah, we're going to talk about the kind of instruments.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about what healing frequencies are.
Yeah, instrument and healing frequency.
And we will do this. And of course, those terms are important. But actually, just to jump ahead of the argument, the most important word that we need to be clear about in your question, and that's where the answer is in the word think. Some people think.
Okay. So can you give me some proof?
I'm kind of, it's like I'm explaining the outcome of a movie. I'm telling you the plot before I've told you even the plot. But actually it's important for you to bear that in mind, because that's what gets lost in these kind of argumentative discussions.
Okay, so we're back to very fundamental.
But what instruments are we talking about here? So what kind of instruments are we talking about here? Let's just, you know, what are the instruments that people who work in sound therapy typically use? So
I got some instruments here.
We've got, you've just dug some out. Actually, there's loads of different instruments, but there's some very common ones that most of you viewers will know about. One is tuning forks.
Tuning forks is this.
You know, we know what tuning forks are.
Yeah.
And they're used in a variety of ways. One very popular way that they're used is you put them on pressure points, acupuncture pressure points.
Yeah, different frequency. This is a 432.
And they come in different frequencies. So that's 432.
We are talking about today.
432 is one particular frequency which is regarded by some as let's say they think it's a healing frequency. But that can be not just struck, but it can also be placed in the body on acupuncture pressure points. For example.
And then the other instruments kind of like this.
Chimes.
Yes.
And there's lots of different chimes.
Different frequencies.
Not only different frequencies, but there's lots of different kinds of chimes.
I'm the collector of all sorts of wind chime.
And we have actually got quite a lot of different chimes. And there's one particular set of chimes that we have here that I want to bring into the conversation, maybe if not in this video, in the next one. And singing bowls. Now,
singing bowl, all sorts of singing bowl got a specific frequency.
And they're, of course, very popular with sound therapists, related in some ways similar to the metal singing bowls, the crystal bowls.
Yeah. So that's what instrument?
And I would argue kind of very different in some ways, gongs.
Oh, gongs, yeah, of course.
That's what we work with more than anything. Actually, we do. I would argue they have significant differences from those kind of instruments. But again, we'll come to that later. But those are typical instruments that people use, aren't they? I mean, viewers will know this too. Okay.
Yes. Now, and what's the healing frequency?
Okay. Now, sound therapists gather together their instruments they like to use in their therapy sessions. Then some will be influenced by the bass frequency of the instrument. Let's just be clear very quickly what frequency is. Frequency is the measurement of sound. It's a way of measuring sound.
Sound, how can we measure?
Sound, as we all know, is it's very simple physics principles of sound. Sound is made up of waves. Low sounds are longer waves. Higher frequencies are shorter waves. And quiet sounds have what they call a low amplitude, so they're flatter, if you like, and louder sounds have a higher amplitude. Amplitude is just kind of another measurement. That means that they're kind of higher. So we get this very simple, and we can look at oscilloscopes. We can look at there's many ways of plotting this, and the way it's measured in the scientific measurement that's been around for I don't know how long. It's hertz.
So can we move on to what's the healing frequency?
Right.
How did it come out?
Okay.
Is it you say healing frequency?
Well,
that's a healing
I don't
frequency.
know where they come. I mean, they emerge. I mean, people think, as you said at the beginning, people think certain frequencies are healing frequencies. Now, I would like to take an example. So we'll use the singing bowls as an example. Singing bowls usually, in fact almost all, have a pronounced bass tone, which is the lowest tone from which there may be harmonics that we can hear as well, but there's a basic tone to it. Let's call it a basic tone.
Okay.
And that basic tone is what some sound therapists will say. That's the tone that I think is most conducive to dealing with people who've got some kind of complaint with their heart.
Oh yeah.
And and actually one of the beautiful things about singing bowls and why sound practitioners like them is that you can put them around and on people's bodies.
So I still have a question. Why they call it healing frequency? So it's a certain pinch of the healing.
There's certain pinch. They think now. What do they mean by this? Is this is another word we have to introduce? Is that the sound that this singing bowl makes, or we're just using singing bowl as an example here. It could be any of the other instruments that we're talking about. The resonant frequency of that, which is what we've talked about, this bass frequency, entrains with the resonant frequency of the person's of hearts. And this is heart in the sense of the physical beating heart in the body, as well as we also talk about heart chakras and so on. There's other sense of what heart means and what it means to the sound practitioner. So they think that this sound entrains with the frequency, because we're all vibrations, remember, viewers. We're all, our bodies and our minds and our spirits are all made up of complex vibrations. Like everything else in the world, everything is vibration. So what we're talking about here is we've got a sound practitioner with a patient with a heart problem, and they think this singing bowl is in training with the frequency, resonant frequency of this person's heart, and is therefore putting it back into the from disease to ease. That's basically it. That's the idea of it. And the thing about this is that it's the thinking, it's what the sound practitioner, it's the intention behind what he's doing, which is the absolutely critical element of this, which is forgotten in the very often forgotten in this debate.
In the end of this, I want to ask you, do you believe certain frequency is healing and the others not? Because everybody can Google and say, 432, 528. And
do I believe?
Yes.
Yes, they can be.
Yes.
But
can be.
They can be, but everything is in a state of flux and everything's changing. And also, when the other thing that sound healers need to remind themselves when they're having these kind of argumentative discussions is that we're working in quantum fields, which themselves are full of indeterminism.
Yes.
It's not, we don't work in this cause and effect type of way. A plus, it's not like that anymore.
So here is a short clip of video. Golden playing the two healing frequencies, 432 and 528, the chime. Give us a thumb up, and we see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.